Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is a very interesting day. We are at the first of the month. We have the FOMC meeting going on right as I speak. I couldn't listen to it anymore. We also have the Bitcoin price almost hit the bull market support band. Maybe it's good enough. We'll talk about it. And then we have potentially a reversal here. I mean, look at XRP. Wow. I mean, dang, that is a pretty strong move right there. That is a almost 8.5% off the low. Does it mean anything? Well, if you look, I want to show you. I mean, just use your eyes and you can see. Look how impulsive this looks compared to this, 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 right? It's pretty strong. And, you know, I've been saying for a while, the altcoins, best thing that can possibly happen for the altcoins is for Bitcoin to finish its correction. And it's just interesting that when Bitcoin got down, let's take a look here, to its bull market support band, right? It hasn't totally tested it yet, but I mean, look at Bitcoin. We have a 1 hour engulfing candle. It's just interesting that when Bitcoin got down here and finished this move, maybe it's finished, maybe it's not. I will talk about that, but it appears that it's going to be finished for a little while. I mean, just look at the candle. When's the last time we had a candle looking like that? And it's about to end in less than about 3 minutes. So we did have one over here and we got to pull back, but it led to higher prices. So I'm wondering if this thing is finished. It could be, but the problem is we still haven't tested the bull market support band. It's going up rather impulsively. So, this is not, I would not buy right now. I would not buy. This is not going to be sustainable. Anytime you have a price, right? We came down. I like the bottom. I like the higher low, right? Basically a double bottom and then an impulse. So people go, oh, it's the FOMC. No, it isn't. It's obviously the price was pumping before the FOMC, right? And it's just interesting that the FOMC meeting, right, Fed Powell is speaking right as literally crypto is attempting to hit the bull market support band, attempting to bottom out. Yesterday's video basically suggested that we needed another low. There was a chance it could be finished, but it was more leaning to the fact that we need another low. The video prior to that, so not yesterday, but the day before, we were still over here. We were still above these two lows. So I said there's a good chance that it could be finished, right? Because this move down broke this low. But it didn't continue down. Instead, it grabbed liquidity and it carried itself up. And then it sort of matched up with the fractal. You might have seen it on Blockchain Backers shared a fractal. I've shared a fractal. There's actually 2 or 3 different fractals that were suggesting, the pullback. So the pullback should have ended, somewhere around here and continued higher. But we can see, right, we had a big shot to the downside. Yesterday I came out with a video, was right about here, and said we're probably going to have another dump. So the question is it finished? Well, I would like it to be finished. We would want it to be finished. The DXY seems to be dumping pretty badly. I mean, look at that. That is a nasty dump right there. Now, I don't really talk about the DXY a lot, but you know, when I look at this chart, it, you know, to me, it was a false breakout. This could be a flat though. It could be a flat, right? Where we have an A, we come up for B, we take out the top, right? Did it take out the top? Let me see here. No, it did not take out the top. Okay, well, that's actually good. We don't want it to do that. If it took out the top, then it would have more lenience to a flat. But this thing dropped pretty big time. Here. Fed Powell continued to expect inflation rate to move down. Okay, that's good news. This year, we want shrinking of balance sheet to be a smooth one. So they're, you know, it's looking good. I'm not a Fed expert at all, but I do know inflation bad, right? We don't want inflation. We don't want that, you know. And then the interesting thing about it is inflation, right, is actually the reason why people buy crypto in the first place, right? People, you know, the reason why we had that previous bull run was because it was a run on inflation. But then once inflation actually came into existence, then that was when everybody sold. And now we've been in a bear market for a while, right? And, you know, we started to bottom out, and now we're starting to move our way back up. And inflation has sort of been, you know, tamed. It's been kind of creeping up every now and then, but for the most part, it's been about the same. So it makes me wonder, well, does this drive people to buy crypto because inflation is continuing to go higher? Let's say, for example, the Federal Reserve completely killed inflation. It's impossible, but let's say they did. Would that mean that inflation, crypto would die, right? I mean, why, if inflation is gone, then that means my dollar has more purchasing power. It's more powerful. So then why do I need crypto, right? Or on the contrary, you can say, well, my dollar's more powerful, which means my life is better, which means my risk tolerance is higher, which means I can invest things into crypto. So there's kind of like two different sides when you look at the inflation narrative. Just wanted to highlight that. But this looks, you know, we're still in an uptrend on the DXY. It appears that this was an ABC. So we have A, we have B, we have C. We have a three-way move. This looked impulsive. This looked corrective, which led the impression we're going to have a breakout. But it was actually a breakout, but it was a false breakout. It could still be a 1, 2, and we get 3, 4, 5, and then it could finish, right? But you know, this is coming down pretty strong. Now, I don't expect it to keep dumping like that. I think it's actually oversold on the smaller time frame. I would expect this thing to do something like that to the very least, getting into the retracement level before picking a direction. You know, the first drop down isn't really the signal. It's actually when you come back up, this is the signal. What happens in the retracement level? So if this could potentially, I mean, it could keep dumping, obviously, right? It could dump further and then retrace. You can dump even further, then retrace. Now, if it takes out the low, that's actually good. If it holds the lows, then, you know, we'll probably, you know, get a bounce to the upside, figure out what happens here. But would anticipate the price to keep going down, at least to finish this move, because we have, you know, even if it is a bullish correction, we want this move down, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we have, that's an A. We have 1, 2, 3. That's a B. And now this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it would be A, B, C, which would be bullish, but it would at least give us some, you know, some momentum back to the upside. Now, that's one way to look at it. Another way you can look at it is to say this is And basically, if you're wondering why I'm looking at the DXY, the dollar, it's basically the relative strength of the dollar compared to other currencies. It's not the dollar itself, but it's a good sort of contrary indicator for Bitcoin, right? So if the dollar looks like it's bearish, then that means crypto is bullish, theoretically, and that's really been the case. So let's zoom out and look at it even more because it deserves that. So what's interesting about this, and this, again, I'm looking at this chart because of crypto. I don't really care about, the DXY so much, but I think it's important to layer it in to some of our analysis to kind of get an idea here. So obviously it's moving very correctively. We had a big impulse to the top. We had a big dump, right? And you can argue that it ended here, right here. So then this would be 1, 2, 3, right? If it ended here, then it could be 1, 2, and then 3, right? So we have a move down. We have 1, 2. We come up for 3. After, I was looking at the 1 hour chart. So within a matter of a few weeks, the correction can finish up. And we have one more hit to the high. And that's really the big do or die type of situation, right? We really need the DXY to stop here, right? Hopefully it's ending here, but at the very worst here. So this would be a crash, retrace, right? And we need to come back down. So, and hopefully that's a big ABC. And then that would mean crypto goes to the moon, right? You would expect A, B, C. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the DXY. So the big question is it done now? Or do we need one more hit to the high? Well, that's still yet to be the case. If we do get another hit to the high, what does that mean for crypto? Well, we'll probably, if crypto gets a strong enough bounce to the upside, then obviously we would have a big pullback. So it would be a wave 1. And then the bounce would, in the DXY, would cause Bitcoin and crypto to have a wave 2. So instead of crushing, like for example, instead of this, and if this breaks into the high after it's done correcting, then you would expect crypto to do the same. But if crypto has a big enough bounce, right, I'll just give XRP since it's the chart's right here. So for example, and look at this candle, by the way, the 3-day candle, that is so bullish. That is a bullish looking reversal candle. Let's go to the daily chart. What is the daily looking? Yeah, the daily's an engulfing candle. What about the 2-day? I think the 2-day is going to look the best. Yeah, look at that. That looks beautiful. I mean, that's basically saying, hey, I don't want to go down anymore. I'm sick and tired of going down. I really want to go back up. But Bitcoin is, weighing me down. So anyway, if what I was saying is, if we get a big enough bounce, so, we have this move down, right? So you would expect 1, 2, 3. Remember, the market moves in 5s and 3s. So we don't have 3 waves. You kind of expect it, unless it's going to continue down, right? And this is 1, 2, 3, part of a bigger move. Or if this is the end, then you have 1, 2, 3, right? So I would expect us to go back up. Now we could go down a little bit further before going back up, as long as we don't break that low. But what the point I was trying to make was, if the DXY has another high, right? First of all, it's correcting. So that means like crypto continues to pump, right? Let's say it continues to pump. Then the DXY bottoms out. Then that means crypto tops out. Then the DXY starts to reverse and break the top, right? Well, or that would mean crypto would go down. But the interesting thing about it is, does it break the low? That will be the true test, right? And this is all, me speculating, but if we have a nice pump to the upside, right? And I can even put a different chart, and I'll put Theta on as an example as well. So if we get a nice bounce, look at Theta, by the way. We hit the bull market support band again. We got it. I mean, this is sort of the breaking news of today, really, is Theta back testing, right? We tested. Let's go. Nope, let's come back and test it again. Well, where have we seen that? Well, look over here. That's exactly what happened over here. Look at this. We came down, right? Test. We pumped to the upside and said, nope, I want to test it again. We tested it again, and what was that? That was the bottom. That was the bottom before the big pump. So is that the same case? Is that what's happening now? Well, I don't really like the size of these massive red candles. I wish it was more like XRP. Like, look at XRP candles, right? Who's telling the story here? You see how the candles, and this is why my videos are longer, because I like to, engage and sort of, teach, what I'm looking at here. Look at the candles, and this has nothing to do because XRP is better or worse. This is just the price action we see. But you could see how the candle, right? It's like very hesitant. It's very hesitant. It doesn't want to go down. And when it does go down, it wicks back up. When it goes down, it wicks back up, right? It's wicking back up. Versus, something like Theta, they're pretty big, fat red candles. Now, why is that? Well, because Theta, look what Theta has done, right? Theta has gone up massively, right? We had a big wave 1, we had a nice wave 2, and we had a massive wave 3. This thing went up about 600%, well, 580%, okay? So, and that was right here is when I started making Theta videos, right? This is why I started, because I saw this is it's probably going to be an exciting time. So I figured, let me throw my hat in the ring and see what happens. And so far, it's been really great. I'm so blessed to have all of you supporting the channel, and it's been great having people viewing it, commenting, saying it's good, it's not terrible. And if it is terrible, always let me know. I'll try to reverse course. But the main thing is Theta has these big red candles because Theta has gone up exceptionally well. It deserves the bigger candles. Where when you look at XRP, right? Look what XRP hasn't done anything. It's been terrible, right? It's been blah. It's just been going up, down, up, down, up, down. That's actually good when you zoom out because you're going sideways, you're establishing a base. It's actually good for the future, but it hasn't been good in the present, right? So, and that's fine. We're in reaccumulation. That's just what reaccumulation is, right? We're lackluster. So because of this price action that was prior, in case you were wondering, then there's not, we're really back on support here, right? We're sort of ranging from the top to the bottom. So that's why you get these sort of reversal candles. And that's why I like to look at XRP, because it's so much drastically different than your average chart, right? Most charts look like H-bar, Theta Fuel. I mean, there's, Dogecoin, the Total 3, VeChain, Ethereum. They all basically have the same type of situation where they come down, right? First of all of them had bull markets. XRP did not. Second of all, they all had a big crash. They all had a big base, and they all broke out of their base. Well, some of them are attempting to break out. Some of them are here. Some of them are here. So they're all pretty much the same, like Filecoin and things like that, right? So, for me, I can look at a couple of them and kind of figure out what the others are doing. But XRP is sort of telling a different story. So that's why I'm following it closely, because, you know, if this thing is making a higher low, then you would expect XRP to reverse as well, and vice versa. But here's the thing, right? Going back to what I was saying, you could see these bullish inverse hammer candles, right in here. It looks like it wants to reverse. So, you know, if that's the case, right, if XRP is looking at that like that, then when I go down to Theta, right, number one, XRP, the candles look good. Number two, Theta has came down to the bull market support band. Number three, it's a brand new month, if that means anything. Number four, we're getting some bullish pumping action during the FOMC. Now, sometimes it can pump during the meeting, and then after the meeting, it can totally just die, right? It could totally dump. So at the time of recording this video, I think the meeting is going on right now. So I'm not sure what's going on. I think they're asking questions. It might be almost wrapping up. But essentially what I'm looking at here, right, is sort of this wave in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bounce up, higher low, tag the bull market support band again, blast off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tag the bull market support band, break up, make a higher low, tag it again. Do we get the blast off? So that's kind of what I'm looking at. So we really, really, really want it to hold. Here's the good part. This is actually the best news that I could ask for. Look at this. Look at Bitcoin, right? And you compare that to Theta. Well, first of all, Theta BTC is looking very nice too, right? That's a nice candle. That's what we want to see. See how it went. We have this doji here, right? Anytime you have a doji, the price is coming down, right? But we have the doji off the bull market support. That's a good sign. But look at Bitcoin here. If I can find it, we have a beautiful WXY, and we almost hit the bull market support band. We're not quite there yet, but here's the best part of what I'm about to say. This is the big concern we all had, right? What I've been talking about for weeks is what happens, right? Because when we had this dump here, the rest of the market went all the way, had a massive liquidation all the way down to the bull market support band. But Bitcoin did not. So I was like, okay, well, if Bitcoin continues to go down there, which it probably will, right? I had a little hopes there and there that it wouldn't, but overall, I'm like, okay, it's probably going to. Then what happens to the alts? Because the altcoins, right, just using Theta as an example, right, we already hit the bull market support band, and we have a pretty nice bounce to the upside, right? So if Bitcoin goes down, which it did here, and it comes down to the bull market support band, then I was worried, because if that was the case, then you would expect us to lose the low like Bitcoin did. But I said, if we don't do that, which clearly we haven't done that, then that is the best thing we can ask for, right? Because, you know, if you've been following my videos, you know that's been on my mind for a while now. Basically, trying to figure out if this low is going to hold. Now, it could still break. We're not out of the woods yet, not even close. Okay, but the fact that the Bitcoin's right at the bull market support band, I mean, we're pretty close, right? We're pretty close to the bull market support band, and Theta, right? And I'll go to total 3 as well. So basically total 3 is all the altcoins. Look at the wick. Look at the wick. So we wicked off of it and we held pretty strong above the bull market support band. We broke out. We came down. We could have, we had the potential to back test the top of these candles and continue higher. But obviously Bitcoin needed to go down. So that meant that we broke below the back test zone, but we got to test the bull market support band again. And number 2, we have a higher low. So that's sort of the important part. Okay, so now what? Now we need to have support come in and hold. It's, like I said, we're not out of the woods completely. It's a pretty big red candle. We need this thing to really slow down and start establishing a base here, because basically it's been, a line down, a line up, and a line down. What we need, right, is we need this. We need something like this for a little bit, right? Establish a base in here, accumulation, right, before breaking out. So that's what I would like to see. That's what I would really like to see. Let's see. Back in the last correction we had something like that, right? We had, it's kind of a bad example, but basically we had an A, B, C. We came up, we had a nice bounce up and we went sideways at the top of the range up in here, which led to the breakout. So mirroring that, just giving us some possibilities here. Let me actually zoom in to smaller time frame. Now, here's the bull markets. We hit it, right? We're testing it and we bounced off it. And that's sort of an interesting thing. Isn't it interesting that the price, when it comes down, look at this right here. We literally pinpoint nailed it and we got bought back up, but we didn't really test it a lot, right? It was one simple test and we came back up in 3 waves. It was a 3-wave correction, and then we came all the way back down. And we are now retesting it, right? So let me just draw this like that. I don't like how it doesn't extend out. I always have to sort of extend it myself. But essentially, we had a proper test. So we had one test and another test. That's good, right? Now, and then this candle was sort of that pinpoint nail candle. And then the following candle was an engulfing candle. It basically engulfed this previous move down. So that's actually a good thing. So if we were to compare it to the previous correction, right? Let me just take a bars pattern here. I know it's going to be totally different, but just to give us a visual representation of what we can hopefully expect, right? Something like this. Where we come up, right? We get back up to the top. Here's the bottom of the range. Here's the top of the range. We get back up sort of in the middle towards the top, right? Before continuing higher. My guess is it's probably not going to do that. My guess is we're probably going to spend some time working this out in here before we hopefully continue higher. And that would spell a completed ABC, right? Because we have an expanded flat here. So we want this flat to work out. Now, if we do get another low, then we still have a chance. Why? Well, because if you look at the flat, we have this chop, right, in A. We come up B, and B took out the top of this wave. So that's how we know it's a flat. And then it was a false, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and now are we getting 5? If we get 5, right? Then what we can see here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe we get 5. But if we slightly break the low, that's okay. But that would end sort of this expanded flat. And I just don't really see it. I just can't see it doing that. Not right now. I mean, we'll wait in time. I mean, this was a pretty significant low here, so I just can't see it doing that. But if it did, then we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So do we need 5? Not if it's a WXY. And that's what, when I go back to Bitcoin, that's kind of what it looks like to me. It looks like a 3-wave move, right? We were saying ABC, but it's looking like a WXY where you have 3, right? You have 3 down, you have 3 back up, and then you have 3 back down in the form of an ABC. So this whole thing becomes 1, 2, 3. Well, if the market moves in 5s and 3s, let's say we are going to get 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we still need 4. So we still have some relief, right? Hopefully, if we do get 5, obviously you can finish up first, then get 4, then get 5. But I don't think so. I think we're getting very close. We still haven't tested the bull market support band, so just keep that in mind. Let me try to do this here, and I'll put some lines here. So that's kind of how close we are. And then let me zoom in to the 15-minute, and then I'll zoom back out, make sure it's straight. Okay, and there we go. So yeah, I'm just extending the bull market support band out. Look at this. We got so close. So I hope we don't have to pay for that later. But essentially, we were literally 0.68% away. On some exchanges, it was like 0.5%. So depending on the exchange, it was very, very close. So you could say, well, that's terrible. Now we have to come back down and test it. But yeah, if we do, it's not a big deal. And then, just by the way, it still looks very corrective, right? We came down here. We had a 1, 2, 3. So we had an impulse with a 3-way pullback. And now we're starting to dump. So we could get one more push to the downside, and then we can officially hit it. If we get that, and then let me turn on the RSI, right? Then we would probably get bullish divergence, right? This is kind of, you want to look into the future of a few different possibilities so that we can kind of identify if it's going to hold true or not. So if we come back down, then this low would be broken. So this low, right? Now we have a lower low. So the trend is going down. But if the RSI comes down and makes a higher low, then the trend is going up. So we have bullish divergence. So if that's the case, obviously it's only on the 15-minute chart. But, it would be nice to see this play out and get us getting a nice bounce in here, because you could see this low here and this low here, right? This low here, and we have a lower low. So there's no divergence on this. So we haven't had any divergence yet, right? So if we get bullish divergence between this wave here and this wave here, that's actually going to be a really good sign, because it's happening on the bull market support band. So, let's just keep that in mind. It's a little difficult to count, but the first idea would be 1, 2, right? All of this is 3, 4, and 5. So, and then in wave 5, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could get 6 and 7 as a +1. Test it. That's actually what I would prefer. I would actually prefer us to come down and actually test it. But here's the thing. If we do come down and test it, we're not that far away. And we want to see a nice reaction in here. We want to see kind of like a base, kind of like a V-bottom recovery, something in here that says, yeah, this is going to reverse. Because if we get that reversal, we come up, we'll probably come back to about here, about between 61 and 62, somewhere around there. And this is what I would like to see. We get one more low, we have divergence between the 4th and the 5th, right? And then I would count it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we pump to the upside, right? And then we come back down, all the way back down. The bull market support bands, it's still pretty much going sideways. We make a higher low, but we get to test it again. Kind of like the example I showed on Theta, right? Where, Theta is doing something similar, just on the larger time frame, where we come down, right? We bounce to the upside, and then we come all the way back down. Here's our low way down in here. We make a higher low, but we still test it, right? So if that's the case, what would the altcoins do? Well, altcoins would sort of, find a bottom in here and do the same thing, right? Come back down without taking out the low, hopefully. So that's kind of the bullish idea there. So hopefully that has helped. Now, we'll talk about a few bearish ideas. Let's say everything I said is out the window. What could we be dealing with here? Well, I'll start with Bitcoin. What we could be dealing with is a pretty nasty 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, or 3. We're in the middle of 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Now we're getting 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Something like that. So if that happens, then we would probably lose the bull market support band, number one, but we would get to come down here and back test this area. So we have lost it before, but when we lose it, we don't want to stray too far away from it. We kind of want to be glued to it, right? We kind of want to be glued to it. But yeah, let's just hope that because we didn't test it here, this is not the end of it. So, if this is a more bearish look, then again, it would be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, right? We get down in here, we back test it, and then we have a big, strong recovery. Hopefully. And, that would be the idea. Now, if it is a 1, 2, 1, 2, obviously it would spell more downside, but I kind of would look at it more as something like this, where we had a big A, B, and then a C, kind of like a flat structure in a range. So if you were to mimic that, now I have no idea what it would look like. I'm just giving us ideas here. So we have this move down, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the important part too. We do have 5 when you look at it from a diagonal perspective. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we get 1, 2, 3, right? Maybe 3 breaks the top. Maybe 3 just comes into retracement. Then we come back down, right? And then we go to the moon. So then this would establish a proper base in here, right? And it would have resemblance of, let me zoom out a bit, of the previous base, right? Because when we had 5 waves, look what happened. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, long base, breakout. So here we go again. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, long base potentially before the breakout. Now, the interesting thing about it is when you compare it back to 2017, right? Let me go to the 4-day chart. I'll zoom out. Look at this. It took its time. See, the difference between now and then is this bull run is actually getting ahead of itself. Now you can say, well, that's actually more bullish, but it's actually maybe not, because basically if it goes too fast, too quickly, right, then it needs to take more time later on to correct. I would rather have it corrected before, take its time before, so we can have fun later, right? But if we had fun to begin with, then, you know, that now it's kind of like when you're a kid, you know, you had to do your chores first, then you can have fun. But if you went to go have fun first, well, now you still got to do your chores, right? So, I mean, look at this. We came down, we had a proper base number 1. We broke out, we had a base number 2. And look how much it tested the bull market support band. I mean, we test. We tested all up and all over this thing, right? I mean, look at this. Back over here, right? Back over here. And look at this one here. I mean, we perfectly came down. We wicked right off of that sucker and continued higher. And I think that was the last one. But what I'm saying here is, look how long it took to break the all-time high. Because we can see, right? We have a base here, another base, and look, we broke out and we back tested, and this is where I'm thinking we are, because this is exactly where the halving took place too. The halving took here, right? So after the halving, you know, we talked about the potential of a dump occurring or in the middle of a correction. So we actually have 3 bases. So we have base 1, base 2, and base 3 before really taking off. So if we go back and look at Bitcoin today, and that's kind of where back over here, I said, well, we could potentially make a 3rd base, and it ended up being, you know, an expanded flat with a continuation, which is perfect. But essentially, right, we have base number 1, we broke out, base number 2, but where's base number 3, right? You kind of wanted it to happen then. And that's kind of what I was hoping, right, is for it to sort of consolidate in here. That way, fast forward today, right, let's say we were just playing around in here, and now we're starting to break out, right? Something like this. And that would sort of be reminiscent to what happened prior to that. But instead, right, we continued to march higher like it was nothing, which is fine. It's totally fine. Now we're back at the all-time high. So maybe we're just making up for lost time, right? So maybe this correction could be a lot bigger than we think. Not as far as price action is concerned, but I'm talking about as time is concerned. I did show us a bars pattern from yesterday, and I don't think it's going to look like this, not even close, but I mean, maybe it will. I'm just giving us a visual representation of what it could potentially look like. And you can see, right, maybe we have the base, but the base is just up here. So now we're finally getting our 3rd base, right? So if we look at the previous bull run, it's way different, right? First of all, we had our first base here. Then we shot up and we sort of made another base in here. It's kind of difficult, but we only had really 2 bases before the big breakout. But the reason why we only needed 2 is because look how big this base is. It's huge. I mean, this thing was massive in as far as time goes. And then we also had a big liquidity grab down in here from C19. So it only required 2 bases, right? For this one, It was a more organic, orderly correction. We had our base, our second base, our third base in a nice, orderly fashion before the big breakout. Well, the difference now is we only have two bases, so maybe we're getting that third base. And I'm putting this under the category of a bearish idea, not because if it's necessarily price. I mean, it could be, but more so in terms of time, right? Because from the bottom of the bear market to the top has been very fast, right? If you look at the bottom from this to the breakout, it took a lot longer. Same thing over here. If you look at the bottom to here from the breakout, it took a lot longer. So maybe because we went so fast so quickly, right? Then now we're basically having to make up for lost time. This is just an idea. I don't know if that's the case. Now you would think, no, it shouldn't do that, because we should be, we're at the all-time high, right? Here's the all-time high, and we're consolidating. So we have to compare it with previous all-time high breakouts, and you can totally, make that argument. This is what happened here before we broke the all-time high, and we talked about that a lot, which basically is an expanded flat, or I'm sorry, a running flat. So the correction we have now is no longer a flat. It is basically an ABC, and you can see it really hasn't been that long. It feels like it's been forever, but it actually has not been that long. So we'll see how it continues to develop. So a couple ways it can happen. Number one, this is a W, or this is a W. Let me zoom in so I can actually see it here. Okay, so this is a W, X, and a Y. We have a 1, 2, 3 wave correction. It's finished, or it's almost finished, right? Maybe we have another hit to the low, down to the bull market support band. Again, the good thing is, total 3, the altcoins, right, have actually, that was the biggest, I guess, surprise, or not really surprise, but the biggest, the nicest thing about it, right, was the fact that, Theta hit the bull market support band, all the altcoins, right, total 3, and then it made a higher low. That was like the most important thing, because if Theta rolled, when Bitcoin went down, right, when it crashed, or I should say when it dumped right here, it took out the low. So it dumped and took out the low. What we've been talking about for weeks is, if that happened, then what happens to the altcoins? Because they have a bounce. Does that mean they take out the low? The good part about it is they did not take out the low, not yet at least, right? It could still do it, but it's looking less likely because Bitcoin is so close to the bull market support band. Here's another thing what I want to show you, and then I'll get back to the final ideas. But look at this right here. Look at this. Look at that. That is actually a very good sign. That is actually a very, very good sign. Now it is 3 waves, right? We have a low, 1, 2, 3. It's still very 3 wave-ish. But look at the daily candle on XRP versus Bitcoin. And we talked about it yesterday. We were only over here. I said, hey, it's looking good. But now look at it. This sucker this is what we need to see, right? Theta versus BTC. It's, we have a bounce, right? We have a bounce, not as good. But remember, Theta went on a gnarly 580% bull run, while XRP just basically went sideways. So, it's making up for lost price action, right? But this is the most important part. We have a dump, and we didn't take out the low. We're holding above the bull market support band. So as long as we keep doing that, we are looking very, very, very good. We're looking very bullish. Remember, Theta and a lot of the altcoins had a 55% drop. So from here, right, from this candle all the way down to here, that was 55%. That was a massive hit. Now, for altcoins, that's normal, right? So, you could see Dogecoin is right in the middle of the bull market support band, right? It does look like head and shoulders. Looks kind of bullish in here, or I'm bearish, I mean. But we really need to get the hell out of here, or this thing can very quickly dump. Now, the good thing is, like, when I look at XRP versus USD, right, it's looking nice. It's looking like it wants to at least give us some relief, at least give us some relief in the short term. And then let's retrace the move, then we can reevaluate. So we just got to, take it one step at a time. I guess this is a good opener for me to say subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and so we don't miss anything, because we're looking at watching it like a hawk. But going back, I'll wrap it up. I don't want it to get too crazy long. I like to try to keep everything under an hour, even though that is very long. But I don't really do editing. It's like a one shot, one take, and I just say what's on my mind. I don't have a notepad. I'm just going based off what comes out of my mouth. So I kind of just roll with it. But here's the thing. So to wrap everything up, we have idea number 1, W, X, Y. 3, 3, 3. We're almost done. Make a little base in here, right? Get some price action, hold support, and then start to reverse. Have a nice wave 1 with a 3-way pullback, right? Or actually better, get up here, break the top, and then flag out before continuing higher. That would be the ultimate case. That would be the best case scenario right there. Second to that would be that this whole thing is 1, 2, 3. This whole thing is W. Then we come up 1, 2, 3. This whole thing is X. And then we come down 1, 2, 3. This whole thing is Y. So we have a W, X, Y. Basically, this move, this 3-wave move, is a part of a bigger 3-wave move. It could be more complex. The thing, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know if that's the case, right? TA won't tell me that, but at least it's a possibility. If that does occur, then it would probably take most of the summer to do this, which would make sense because we're in summer months anyway, right? We're getting close, and usually summer just lags. Then we would have this 1, 2, 3. We would have a nice pump, flag out in here, and then break out. So it's the same thing, except we have 1, 2 more waves to go before we get the breakout. So when I zoom out, look at it. It looks like a normal correction. I mean, look how big it looks. It's actually quite normal, right? I mean, look how big this thing was, right? So I'm kind of comparing it to this, but upside down. But it would actually be just a normal 3-wave correction. And it would actually be very healthy, right? So when we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have this big ABC. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we get another big ABC. I mean, it kind of would make sense because we're up here towards the top, right? So you would expect a lot of, selling pressure. Now, when the Hong Kong ETF came out, we started to dump. But remember, when the American ETF, the one that I would think has more money alongside it, came out, right? we were way up here and we dumped all the way down before blasting off. So maybe the Hong Kong ETF comes out, we come all the way down before blasting off. That could be an option there. So that's one idea, or that's the second idea, right? And then the third idea would say this is going to be more fast and furious, and we can either come down and back test this area or this area in here. So that would be sort of just a more steep correction. So we came up here, right? We have a nice base. We break out of the base, but we never came down to back test it. Remember, I talked about this, I think not even a week ago, saying, basically an insurance policy. If this is a 1-2-1-2, actually that would be very, very bullish, because we have a 1, 2, we have a 1, and we come all the way down for 2. So this whole thing, so instead of it being 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we only have one more wave to go, only 5. But if this is a 1-2-1-2, then that means we still have the third and the fifth wave, which means it buys us way more time for the altcoins. Yes, it would suck terribly in the short term, probably crush crypto. But at least we would get a bigger third wave and a bigger fifth wave at the end of it. So those are kind of the three ideas. The third idea basically is mixed. We can either come down and back test here or somewhere in this area down in here. I would say around that 47K mark would be a good area, between 40 and 47K. So maybe that's part of the third wave, right? It could be the mixture of two. So 1, 2, and then we get 3. So a big 3-wave move. We bottom out here, we back test, and then we go to the moon. So those are kind of the mixed things. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So far, there's no reason for me to expect that, because basically, ever since we've been in this correction, we've been talking about the possibility of it coming down here. Now, a lot of people aren't talking about that because there's no support. Where's the support at? Right? Here's where we stopped. Here's the bull market support band. But if I drag this out, there's no support. We have support way down here, right at 52K. We're kind of in the middle of no man's land. Most people are looking at the chart saying we're in no man's land. How come we're not continuing to dump? Because they don't have the bull market support band and how massively significant it is, right? Because, most people are looking at, okay, here's our support down here, here's our support here, and here's support here. So, we haven't hit the support yet. But what they don't realize is, look at the bull market support band is right here. So that is, to me, sometimes stronger support than price, right? So this is our last line of defense before we really have a more serious correction. This will be the first line about 53 to 47 to maybe 40 to 42 in that area. But again, don't really want to talk about that because we're not there yet. Well, there's no reason for us to talk about it. I mean, heck, we haven't even hit the bull market support band yet. So, I mean, we're really, really close, but we have to wait and see. I mean, from the look of it, we have 1, 2, 3. So we have a 3-wave move, right? If this is going to be an impulse, we want to see a stronger move to the downside, then a 4, then a 5. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? But if we start to reverse now, or somewhere in this vicinity, without breaking below the bull market support band, then it's going to look like a WXY. So the next couple weeks is going to be critical, hypercritical. So we'll see. Look at Theta Fuel, and amidst all the carnage. Remember, I've been talking about for the last while now, saying, look, Theta Fuel looks very interesting. Theta, Bitcoin broke the low. Theta came all the way down, made a higher low, but it's still very close. Total 3 did the same thing, all the altcoins. But look at Theta Fuel. It is nowhere near the low, right? It's still, from where it is now, to make another low, that's still 30%, basically 28, 30% away. So that is a very, very good sign. You know, again, this is an A, this is a B. It's a flat to me, right? All the way down here. And then this is hopefully a 1, 2, right? Maybe we get 1, we get a pullback like this, a 3-way pullback. So 1, A, B, C, take out the low slightly, and then take off. I mean, we haven't even tested the bull market support band yet. So if it really wanted to, it can come all the way down here and still be very bullish. So, you know, that's something to understand, right? You know, look at this, and we talked about it many, many times, this beautiful Wyckoff structure where you have the Wyckoff, right? You come down here, you break out, you back test the bull market support band, you break above the range that you've been in for a long, long time, and now you're testing, and eventually you break out and go. So, you know, here's the example. I'm sure you've seen it before, but in case you're new, I mean, this is what we're looking at. 1, 2, 3, floor, go. 1, 2, 3, floor, go. And now you're at this back test area. You can see, let me make it bigger. Basically, you know, we're right in here. So we're just hashing it out, you know, up, down, up, down. We're basically just hashing out all of this. So to me, you know, some of these altcoins are telling a story like they still need to go, right? They have the best setup. Now, of course, Bitcoin can just get crushed, and then the whole setup that it's been working out for the last 2+ years gets destroyed. Well, not necessarily destroyed, but just taking longer to fulfill itself, because Theta Fuel, you know, did everything right. It showed up to the party. It was on time, right? It showed up to work. It was on time and was ready to go, right? Bitcoin, right? The leadman didn't show up to work. So Theta is just sitting around like, well, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I'm new on the job here, but at least I showed up, right? So Bitcoin has to show up. And I think it will. I think it will show up. There's a lot to be bullish still about, right? We had the halving. We know that after the halving, we get a big dump. I mean, this video is just going to get longer, but look at this. And I think it deserves it because of what we've been going. You know, this is a big, big, big moment here for crypto. So there's a lot to be said. I think the halving was right around here, somewhere in there. So we got a big A, we came up B, and we came down C, and then we basically nailed the bull market support band. We overshot it a little bit, but it's okay. But we had a big drop. We had a big drop. Now, the market cap was a lot less back then, so it needed more of that drop. But I would say around 30-40% drop. But then look what happened after, right? So we had the halving here. Then we came down to the bull market support band. Then we had a 1, 2, and then we basically created this base, and then we went to the moon, right? So fast forward today, this is exactly what's happening now. So the halving, when was the halving again? It was only I think it was like last week, right? It wasn't that far ago. Let me put the weekly candle. Okay, so it was this candle here. So basically right in here. So that makes, you know, some sense, right? So when I zoom back in and just, you know, keeping in mind the previous structure we just saw, right? We have the halving somewhere in here, right? We have an A or a W, X, and Y. So we have the halving, and then bam, we dump down to the bull market support band, right? Just like over here, we have the halving right in here. bam, we came down to the bull market support band, right? And then it held it, right? So yeah. So here's the fractals side by side, right? I'm not comparing the structure or anything like that or the price. I'm just comparing what happened in the halving event, right? So if I take this, it actually looks pretty good, right? It looks pretty decent. I mean, we have obviously the run up, we have an A or a W, we came up in 3, and then we dump, right? And you could see boom, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, down to the bull market support band, almost to the bull market support band. So what we want to see here is a pump to the upside, basically flagging out, right? And then continuing to go. So that would be an amazing thing if we can get that going here, right? And then the recovery for that would just be impeccable for the altcoins, because when you look at like things like XRP versus Bitcoin, I mean, look at what it's doing, and it doesn't matter if you don't hold XRP. If XRP is telling a story that it's bullish and I don't hold it, then that's good, right? I want Dogecoin, I want Litecoin, I want, coins I've never even heard of to say, hey, look at me, I'm bullish, because that gives more confluence to the rest of the market, right? We can see a huge dump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's subjective how you can count it, but we haven't had a big candle like this in a while. So we want to really, if we can break this top in here and then pull back, that's going to be pretty bullish. And then for Theta versus Bitcoin, well, let me do Ethereum. See, Ethereum has gotten knocked way harder. The only chart that's a little bit concerning is Ethereum, because of how, it's a pretty big engulfing 3-day candle. Let's look at the daily real quick. I mean, technically we still made a higher low. We have a low. I mean, did it make a new low? Almost. I mean, it came very, very close. So hopefully this is a big double bottom, right? Where you come down bottom, come back up, make a bottom, right? Testing the bull market support band, testing it, and then we really want to see it reverse. I mean, XLM looks very good. I mean, look how low the bottom is, right? It's way down here. So we had a big pump. So we have more wiggle room, right? So we want to hold some support in here. And then the last thing I want to share is the sequential. That's what I forgot. Let me turn on the sequential. Look at this. Guys, look at this. We're on a daily 8. So in less than 4 hours, we're going to get a daily 9 buy. Okay? We haven't had a daily 9 buy on XLM since going back of February of this year. So, about 4 months ago, which is quite some time. So we have a daily 8. That's good. And then you can see the 8 is starting to reverse, which is also good, right? Which is also good. And this is very important here. So we're going to get the 9. Hopefully we get the 9. If the 8 candle comes up and breaks the 7, we won't get the 9. So hopefully it doesn't. I mean, we only have less than 4 hours to go. So XRP, okay, we're only on a 6 on XRP, which it's not too bad. This is what I want to show you. On the 4-hour chart, on Ethereum and Bitcoin, I believe, we had a beautiful 9 buy. I mean, look at that. I mean, it was set up perfect. Here's the bull market support band, right? We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we had a 9 buy. Let's see if there's divergence. And we had bullish divergence. So this is a good sign, right? We have bullish divergence with a 9 buy. Okay, now here's the test. I haven't looked at it today. Let's look at Bitcoin. Because I remember talking about it, I think, yesterday with somebody. And, I figured the 9 was coming soon. Look at that. It's kind of an ugly 9, but, well, actually no. I mean, we're pumping it. So basically we want this number 1 candle to close above the 9, which isn't going to be too hard. So we have it. We have the 4-hour 9. So the last time we had a 4-hour 9 was back over in March. And look what happened when we got the 4-hour 9. We had a pump, we had a pullback, and we had a pretty nice pump here, right? Last time, the other 9, we still had one more low, but it was followed by a pump. So a lot of times these 4-hour 9s, and then before that, we haven't really had any 9s. The last 9 we had was back over here with the flat, and I remember talking about that. Over here, we had a 9 right in here, but we didn't. It had one more low, and then bam, it took off. And look at the rally. So do we have bullish divergence? We kind of. You can see, right, here's the low, and we made a slightly higher low. Here's the low, we made a slightly lower low. So we got a little bit of divergence. It's not very strong, but it's there. It looks better on Ethereum, which is good because we want the altcoins to show more strength. So here's what I have to say, and I got to wrap it up. We have 3, 3, 3. Point number 1. We're almost to the bull market support band. Point number 2. We have a 9 buy on the 4-hour chart. Right? It doesn't mean it's going to reverse right away. Right? It could take a couple days. Right? Maybe we base out in here, have a pump, have another pullback, but we really want to see us get out of here. It would be nice to have some type of, ascending triangle or an inverse head and shoulders or something that says, hey, we're reversing. Right? We have a little bit of bullish divergence between hopefully the 4th and the 5th. Right? So there's that, and then we have the altcoins like XRP versus Bitcoin, Theta versus Bitcoin, right? It's pumping up. I mean, it's looking pretty nice. By the way, XRP versus BTC is on a 9 sell. So, if you're trading XRP versus Bitcoin, maybe take your profit, not financial advice. Remember, nothing I say is financial advice. And then, another point is Theta beautifully had a double test of the bull market support band just like the last time, right? So Theta came down, we hit the bull market support band, we came back up, and now we hit it again, and it seems like we're kind of holding up here. So anything can happen, but so far so good. So we really need the bulls to show up to the party. Is that going to happen? I don't have a crystal ball. I can just show you, the data here. So look at this. This is exactly what happened last time. We came down to the bull market support band. We made the low. We came up and we made a higher low. We held support in here, and then we continued higher. So to me, it's sort of reminiscent to what happened before. So if I pull a bars pattern, we can see the difference. So there you go. I mean, this is exactly what happened last time. Here's the fractal, and I'll just kind of match it up. It doesn't match perfectly, but I'm just highlighting the fact that, we tested the bull market support band, and we came down, we tested it again. So, you can see what happened in here, right? So if I move this to the side, and I kind of project outwards, maybe we play around in here a little bit, and then we start to pump, right? We pump up, we pull back, and then we sort of just go off to the races. So I mean, that would be amazing to see that. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully that helps. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. I will definitely show some fractals and some more data. Just kind of ran out of time, but There's still a couple things. I mean, we haven't even looked at the other altcoins yet. So yeah, we'll revisit that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you can leave a like and drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Bitcoin is almost like it barely hit it, like a 0.5% away from the bull market support band. So drop in the comment section. Do you think it's going to make one more low and hit it? Or do you think that was it? Or do you think we have much more downside to go? Let me know in the comment section what you get, where you're getting it, and yeah, we'll revisit this. And if you guys want to support the channel, you can always do so through the YouTube tip jar. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, I would imagine the FOMC meeting is over, so we'll see how that translates into tomorrow. Usually Wednesdays and Thursdays you get some pretty interesting price action. So if we have a pumpy day today, I would imagine we have sort of a corrective night, right? Hopefully we can have a nice pump continuation today. We correct through tomorrow night, and then we have a nice pump tomorrow. I mean, that would be the ideal situation, but all in all, we really just want to hold support. We want the bulls to show up and hold support. Again, Bitcoin can have one more little low, but as long as it holds the bull market support band, we're looking good for that WXY and hopefully that continuation back to the upside. I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.